Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. Once again, we're taking a look at the GPD Win Max. This is GPD's latest gaming handheld. Here we are taking a look at Wii U emulation, specifically Breath of the Wild. This is the latest version of CEMU. The public version, this is CEMU 1.18.2c. So this is just what's the latest available to the public as of the date of this recording. Very briefly, let's go ahead and just take a look at my settings. So if we go into graphics packs, I had deleted my previous video, which I do apologize for people that kind of watched it really quickly and then saw that it was deleted. I do apologize for that, but there were some settings that weren't ideal, so I had to re-record it basically because it wouldn't have been accurate to what needed to be shown. So right now these are my settings. No depth of field. I have anti-aliasing. I have disabled anti-aliasing. Resolution set to 540p, and shadow resolution I've done 50%. In FPS++, I have this set to 3 frames averaged. Fence method, I'm doing performance fence, and set FPS I have locked at 30 because we don't really get much better than that. And then the only other fix down here for Intel GPU shadows. The only other bit, we'll probably touch on that later, is I had missed it, and the reason for deleting the video is that you have to right click on the game itself and go in the game profile and set the mode to triple core or double core recompiler. It was on single core, which was the reason why FPS wasn't super super awesome as it could possibly be. Anyway, here we are playing the Win Max. This is emulating in real time, not streaming, directly on the device itself. Go ahead and start playing. So there's a few things to note when setting this up for yourself. Obviously the settings that I showed you are particular for this particular system because we are running an Intel setup. We're not using AMD or NVIDIA GPU. There's things that are specific to this particular build. The little hitches that you see here are because I haven't run through the game yet. These bats are new to me. So anything that is... Oh, Christmas, I just broke my... So breaking weapons, that had to be compiled. I haven't actually broken a weapon yet, I don't think. And especially every area that you go into that is new will have to be compiled for that area. So I can't call my horse. Where you at, horse? None? Alright, I guess I'll steal another. Look at my horse. My horse is amazing. Give it a lick. It tastes just like a... Oh, there's my horse. Well, I'm stealing another one since I'm already here. Oh. Did I... Well, this horse I already had. So very briefly, let's kind of go through what these metrics actually mean. So this is our frame rate right now. We're at 30 FPS. We go down, especially whenever we're going to be hitching to generate anything around. All right, settle down. The package, this is the temperature of the system on a chip itself. This is our package power. You can see that the PL limit I've set as 25 watt. That is hard set. We're not going to really be deviating from that. We're not going to go up or down because I have it hard locked at that. So this is the current package power being used. This is my setting of don't going higher than that. Here's our GPU clock. This is basically a MAC frequency that you see there, not 950 megahertz, but a little bit over 1 gigahertz. Total system power is at 0 watts right now because I am plugged in. However, the battery is at 100%, and this is some things that people have been asking me is like, is it okay to play while plugged in? And the answer is yes, because the circuitry for charging this is actually really intelligent, especially like when we get down to like 90% battery. This charge, it would be a positive amount, just so you can see. Let me go ahead and remove it. This value is now going to be negative. If you see it positive, that means it's going into the battery, charging to the battery. But this will fluctuate. We can kind of do that after a few minutes here. But you'll see that we're not going to charge at the maximum rate that the battery can charge at, which is around 20 watts. They're also working on fast charging for the GPD Win Max. Right now, I believe I have standard batteries. So one of the things that is here is that when we get to 90% battery, you'll see that when we charge, we're not actually charging at the full rate. It kind of slows down to like more of a trickle charge. So in effect, the cable is running the system and slowly charging the battery at the same time. And more to the point, you saw it 0 watts before when we were plugged in. That's because the battery was at 100% and there was no reason to charge the battery. So we were in effect running exclusively off of the cable at that moment, just looking at that data. And right behind here, you can't see it. You can, anytime you see this little pop-up right behind my little metrics right there right now, that's something that is either being shader compilation in the background, which is necessary for visuals to be seen. Basically, it's going to be little things, because as we start going to night, day, different effects, like the little heartsy things on the horse, all of those, any type of visual effect that has not occurred yet, you will notice a actual hitch. The game will, in effect, basically slow down while it builds that, so that the GPU has an idea of what to, not an idea, the GPU knows what to run, like that. So if that was the first time that had ever occurred, you would see a hitch. But because I've already run through this area before, obviously we have a far smoother experience right now. Let me see if I can go and fight some monsters. So one thing worth talking about is I am actually a big fan of Breath of the Wild. I've played it through twice on a Switch itself. I played once in normal mode and once in master mode, and I completed in both. Master mode I found to be just a tremendous amount of fun, especially when we get to the... not sure why, maybe it's this rock. Sometimes I try to look around what I am actually compiling that's new. My favorite part of Master Mode was the Master Sword Trials, because it's like Eventide Island. That's it. My brain worked. Such a good game. So one thing that I was actually kind of upset about with Breath of the Wild, and I had talked about this before in my deleted videos, so apologies to people that have already heard this spiel, but I actually like talking about it because Breath of the Wild is actually a game that I really, really enjoy. When looking at the DLC, it seems like to me that there was more DLC planned. One of the reasons being is that, the main reason being is that it's not possible to have full hearts and full stamina wheel ever. So you have to kind of decide if you want full hearts or full stamina wheel. And for my money, obviously, it's definitely full stamina wheel. That's far more valuable, especially with how much food and other things you can replace hearts easily instead of over-hearting. Over stamina wheel and all the other stuff is kind of a nuisance, and I'd rather just have max stamina. Man, this game is so good. So one thing that would be cool, but obviously isn't present on the Win Max, is a gyro. And if it would be possible to have gyro aiming to fully do Switch-style stuff would be really amazing. But perhaps that's something that we could try to argue for in the next system, though I don't know how much traction we'll get there. Because, I don't know. Switch has done it, and obviously there are people that do like it, but I think people have had more success using a gyro in the Pro Controller versus anything else. Why is this game so good? That's the other thing that I really wish that there is. So there's two things that I really wish that Breath of the Wild did. One is, I don't really care, it's an open world and it is somewhat sparse. I actually like it because it does, I feel like if you've played games early on, if you've had the experience of coming and playing games even way back. So I've played the original Legend of Zelda in 1987 I had played in 1987. I don't know. I don't think it came out in 1987, 1988. Basically, I had played it actually in the 80s, not in the 90s or aughts. I had played in the 80s, and there was a really distinct feeling that Legend of Zelda had, and Breath of the Wild does manage to capture that, especially like when you're like just kind of just by yourself and looking, and off in the distance you'll just see 3 trees on a cliff, and it's this curiosity that gets sparked in me, and it kind of super reminiscent to a lot of things from Legend of Zelda, where you'd enter a screen and nothing would really be there except like 1 or 2 things, or like 2 bushes, but they're placed in such a way that you want to interact with them. You want to try to figure them out because it, by default, looks like a puzzle. Oh, neat. I hadn't seen those guys just yet. So that's one thing that I feel like one of the things that people that don't like Breath of the Wild, especially with the mechanics of breaking the weapons and stuff, is that they didn't get that feeling. And one thing that I really wish is that it did borrow some stuff from Elder Scrolls, insofar as like when you beat Ganon, it's kind of anticlimactic and the game just ends, and he's not particularly tough to beat by the time you do get to him. So it just, I don't know, for one thing that I do like that Elder Scrolls does is that you can beat the main quest line and the world keeps on kind of going and you can still do side quests. One thing that I was hoping for, like in DLC, like a second wave of DLC, would be if you could kind of just walk around after the blight is all gone and, you know, people are trying to get back to their lives and, you know, doing stuff like that, or with Zelda. So, I don't know, there's just stuff like that, and I'm hoping that Part 2 of Breath of the Wild kind of, like, looks at that, or however they're going to do that, but I guess it's going to be something a little bit more grand. Who knows? I am looking forward to it. The other thing that I wish that they did was an actual crafting system instead of just, like, cooking food. Especially, like, the choo-choo jellies, because you get, like, you know, you can change the orientation of them in terms of if they're flame or ice or whatever. So I would have liked to do that. Like, basically craft arrows, like fire, lightning, ice arrows, ice swords. I would have liked to have the ability to craft swords or upgrade weapons. Or potentially just make them more durable. Stuff like that. That's 2 things that I wish that Breath of the Wild did, because outside of that, mostly I'm fine with the durability system of the weapons, because, I mean, you get so many of them, everyone drops it, and, you know, you really, they purposely do that so that you are encouraged to, like, use all the systems to your advantage, especially in Master Mode, where they start regaining health pretty quickly if you don't keep up on the attack, which is, I don't know, I'm just a huge fan of the game. Played it through twice. Master Mode, definitely my favorite. It is definitely more challenging, but still doable. Even Tiger Island is my favorite. The Trials of the Master Sword was a lot of fun, even though there were certain parts that were super difficult in Master Mode. But getting through them was great. Just had a ton of fun. Anyway, this is Breath of the Wild. This is first looked at my Wii U emulation. I'll try to do a compilation video of a few different emulators. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.